Hello everyone and welcome back to English with Lucy. Today I'm going to tell you a story. The story is going to teach you the true meaning of the term prized possession. Prized possession. And it's going to be fantastic listening practice because I'm telling it to you from the heart. You've got subtitles as well. I always recommend that you watch once without subtitles and then once again with subtitles to see how much you manage to understand. So what is a prized possession? A prized possession is a possession that is very important to you. It's something that you treasure more than anything else. So, I have a couple of prized possessions in my life and I thought the story behind them would be really nice for you to use as listening practice. So I've got a couple. I've already spoken to you about this ring here. If you haven't seen the Q&A that I did when I reached 100,000 subscribers, then you can click on the card up here. And in that Q&A, I tell you, amongst many other things, the beautiful story behind the ring that I've got on my finger today. But today I'm going to be talking to you about another prized possession, which is this book here. And you can see on the front it says, well, you might not be able to see, but it says it started with a leaf. And I'm going to tell you about how this book came to be. I grew up in the countryside in the region of the county of Bedfordshire, which is in central England, slightly north of London. And as I grew up in a tiny village, I had to use my imagination quite a lot. So I used to play pretend games on my own quite a lot. And one day I found a leaf. So it really did all start with a leaf. It was a leaf that had a tiny squiggle on it, and it must have been eaten by a caterpillar or something, or an insect. But I looked at this leaf and I knew exactly what it was. I looked at this leaf and I knew that a fairy had written me a letter. And because they don't have paper in fairyland, they must have written it on a leaf. I must have been about 6.5 years old, and I took it upon myself to reply to the letter because that's polite, isn't it? So I responded to the fairy saying quite clearly, next time you write to me, can you write with bigger handwriting, please? And what's the point of writing to me if I can't read it? And I left my response to the leaf message right where I found it, which was on a windowsill outside my house. So I got up into my bedroom window and I dropped the message out of the window. I got up in the morning, raced outside, and would you believe it, there was a response. There was a tiny little letter with very tiny writing, but slightly bigger than before because to fit on a leaf it was pretty small. And it was a gorgeous letter saying, "Hi Lucy, sorry, we forgot that we had to write in English to you. We speak fairy language." And the letter was signed from Nina, which was a fairy that lived in my garden. And communication between Nina and I continued for 2 years. Yes, I would write a letter to Nina the fairy almost every night. Sometimes I went a while without writing and then I apologised. And she would always reply. Sometimes my letters would get a bit wet and she would say that she had to put some magic on it and clarify my writing. I wasn't really that bothered if it landed in a puddle and got wet because fairies are magic. They can just magic it all away. Little did I know that it was actually my dad responding to all of these fairy letters. Poor daddy. He was working so hard and such long hours at that time. He would come home late from work every night, it would be raining, and my mum would say, "Oh, you'll never guess what." And he'd go, "What? There's another fairy letter?" So he'd have to get on his computer, decipher my 6-year-old writing, and write a response. And on my 21st birthday, I received this, which I didn't really know what it was when I first saw it. I just read the title. It started with a leaf, by Lucielle, aged 6.5, with help from Nina and Aspian, the garden fairies. Aspian was Nina's friend. And I didn't know this, but my dad had saved all of my letters and all of his responses dated them and put them in this amazing book ready for when I turned 21. And this is just beautiful because the letters were written over the duration of 2 years. So you can see my handwriting in the beginning, all messy and all over the place. And then my handwriting in the end, beautiful and neat, or quite neat. So I'm going to read you some excerpts, some parts, some pages from this book that I find really, really funny. This was written on the 22nd of February 2001. Dear Nina, we have found out that you have been doing my letters on the computer. What do fairies eat? Love, Lucy. And the reason this is funny is because I, at that age, had started to use my dad's computer to play games and to search the internet. I think I had a Neopet or something. And I had been looking at his documents and I saw a letter. I saw a Word document called Fairy Letter, and I opened it. And it was one of the letters that the fairies had written to me. So I ran into my dad's room and I said, Daddy, you will never guess what. And he was thinking, oh dear, she's going to find out that it's me. But no, I said, the fairies have been using your computer. And my dad had to pretend to be all shocked and cross, like, oh God, they really shouldn't do that. I can't believe it. So yes, I find that one very funny. And another thing that perhaps isn't so funny is this. I don't know if you can see it. I made my fairy a birthday present, and it was a tiny duvet and a pillow for her to use in the winter. And my dad said, oh God, it was so sweet. When we opened it, you had sewn it by hand. And I had to tell them, I hope you didn't put that anywhere near your face. And my dad said, why? So I told my dad, yes, it was very sweet of me, but do you know what I stuffed the duvet with? And I had actually found a dead rabbit in the garden, which had obviously been attacked by a cat or something, and I collected all of this dead rabbit's fur and used that to make the duvet and the pillowcase. And my dad had been like treasuring it, putting it near his face, thinking it was so sweet, and really it had a dead rabbit inside of it. So yeah, that one's particularly funny. This is from the 14th of February 2001. Dear Nina, can fairies tell the future? If so, how long will I live for? Happy Valentine's Day, love, Lucy. P.S. It's my brother's birthday soon. This one is from the 6th of June 2001. Dear Nina, I'm sorry I haven't written to you for such a long time. Guess what? There's only 4 more days till my birthday. If I ever had a wish, which I can't, I would wish to speak to animals. Yours sincerely, oh very posh, Lucy. P.S. Daniel has lost his tooth. Could you give it to him or give it to me to give to him? And the fairies replied the very next day. Dear Lucy, thank you for your letter. What a long time it has been since we last heard from you. I can hardly believe that you are nearly 7 years old. We can remember when you were first born. It's a good job that your orange hair changed colour. That was because I was born with orange hair. We can speak to animals, but I don't think humans can. If you could, what would you say to them? We were sorry to hear about Daniel's tooth. I will ask Jezebel, the tooth fairy, to look out for it. Do you ever have funny dreams? Love, Nina. So yes, I think that explains why this is one of my prized possessions. It was an amazing gift to receive, and it just goes to show that money just can't buy the best presents. It's all about the thought and the time that's put into them. My dad must have spent hours putting this together and hours writing all the letters. So very, very special. I think my dad has a fan club on this channel now, so this probably will help you love him even more as much as I do. He is a great man. So yes, that's it for today's lesson. I have got a few more prized possessions, so if you liked this video and you want to hear about more special objects and the stories behind them and have them subtitled and use them as listening practice, then let me know in the comments. And if you hated it, you can tell me as well. Right, that's it for your lesson today. I hope you have a lovely day. Remember, if you want to take your listening practice a step further, don't forget to sign up to audible.com for your 30-day free trial where you can get a free audiobook and you can listen and practice. The link to that is in the description box. Don't forget to connect with me on all of my social media, especially my Facebook, because every Sunday at 4:30 GMT I host a free live pronunciation lesson. Take care of yourselves and have a lovely day. I'll see you soon for another lesson. Mwah!